Welcome everyone, my name is Lukas Adam and today we are going to code this thing right here. This is the website we have created last time in Figma and today we are going to code this thing together. So I haven't done much yet, so as you can see this is the index.html file. I have created a style sheet, link and a script for some JavaScript. I'm not really sure if we will need JavaScript currently, but to be safe, I have added it. Also, there's a style sheet link to the Yoast font, which is my favorite font. Let me show you. If I type in welcome, as you can see, this is the Yoast font. I will leave a link in the description down below so you can download the font. It's free and it's pretty awesome. Alright, so first things first. The style CSS looks like this. I haven't done, like I said, I haven't done anything at all, which is important. I only have applied some effects to font smoothing and also margin padding 0 for the body, and I have applied the font family, which is, like I said, Yoast. So the next thing that we need to do, I'm not sure you can see it very good right here, but maybe you can see it. There's a small border at the top. And the first thing that we need to do is to apply this border. So let's do this right in the body tag. We can say border top 2 pixels solid, and then the color code, and then it's right here. You can't see it currently, but let me increase the size a little bit. Now it's getting more visible. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's there. Alright, now let's create the header. So for the header we only have 2 items. We have the, let me show you, we have the logo, which is block theme currently, and then the contact form. Since this will be a very simple page, I haven't added any more list items and navigation. I think this is enough for our purpose. So let's create the logo first. Actually, let's create the nav tag, and then we can create an a tag with the class of logo. href will be home, and then we can call this thing block theme, and the word theme will be in a span tag. This way I can style it differently and apply another font weight to it. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, it pops up right there. And now we need the contact button. So let's create a very small unordered list with actually only one list item, and this is contact. Then we can apply a link to it, and let's say contact. So for now, of course, this page isn't ready yet, but as you can see, it pops up right here. So that's all for our elements. Now let's style this thing. Alright, so to style this header, first things first, we are going to select the header, and then we will apply a display flags to it. Then we will say justify content, center, and align items center. Actually, wait, it's not justify content, it's space between. And also the flex direction should be row and not column. Alright, the reason it's not showing up is because I have made a small mistake, as you can see, because the display flex should be applied to the nav element and not to the header, because the header only contains one element, it's the nav bar, and we need to set the display flex to this element where we have the unordered list and our logo. So let's just write UL and now, nav, and now it should work, and it does. Perfect. Alright, next thing that we need to do is the UL after the nav should be without a list item style. So list style should be none, and then the small point disappears, as you can see. And then also we need some padding. So what we can do is we can say max width 90%, and then instead of 100% it only goes to here, which is 90%. And to center this thing we can say margin 0 auto. And save it, and now it's centered. Perfect. So now let's move on and let's change the text decoration. So let's select the nav bar, then we can select all A tags that are in our nav bar, and now we can say text decoration and none. And now this line here, which was there a minute ago, let me show you, now it has disappeared. So that's what we wanted to do. Okay, and now we can finally start working at the colors. So for the colors we will use this color code right here, 7B8794. As you can see, this is a grayish color, which is pretty good for a minimal theme. And actually, let me try to set this also for the border at the top. I think the other one was better. All right, let's keep it this way. Okay, and basically that's it for the footer, because we only have 2 elements, as I said. So as you can see, this also works for mobile. No matter if you have a iPhone 5 or iPhone X, this is a pretty minimalistic header, and it should work for both mobile and desktop. So that's it for the header. Now we move on to our hero section. So for the hero section, let's close this, and now let's create a section called hero. Then we set up a wrapper, and then we can take a look at our design. So we need a H1 element, we need some paragraph, actually 1 paragraph, and we need this line right here. And this is a 2-column grid, but since we are doing the mobile version first, this is going to be first a 1-column grid. So we will code this thing, and right after it the paragraph. We have only designed the desktop version, so we have to code the mobile version first. Alright, so let's start with the H1, which says welcome to our blog. Perfect. And then we can add the paragraph. Alright, perfect. Now we've got the text. So let me make this clearer. Okay, like this. Okay, so the next thing that we do is we need to apply the same width to the hero section as to the navbar. So as you can see, our navbar has a max width of 90%, and we need to do the same thing for the wrapper, because otherwise it looks weird, right? We have the logo starts here and the hero section starts here, so this looks weird. That's why we are going to change it in the same way we did it with the header. So let's say max width 90%, and now let me show you by inspect the element. The wrapper, as you can see, only goes to the blue line, and the orange line is the other 10%. So now in order to center it, we simply say margin 0 auto, and that's it. Now the text is centered. So now we can work on our H1, and for our H1 we are going to change the color first. So let me say color, and we will use a color code which is 10-2A43. Save it, and as you can see, this one looks much better in my opinion. Now we will change the font size to 60 pixels, and we will change the line height to 82 pixels. Right, perfect. Now let me open up the design again. As you can see, there is another color at the welcome word, and I also spelled welcome wrong. And then we also need to transform the text because it's all uppercase. So let's do this quickly. First, let's say welcome. All right, then we can apply again a span tag to our welcome word, like this. And now we can say text transform uppercase. Perfect. Okay, now let's style the span tag. So for this we simply say H1, and right after it we say span. So the color code is 7B8794. It's the same that we are already using for the nav anchor text. So let's save it, and our H1 is ready. I'm not quite sure for the font weight, so let me change this and try 500. Let me try 600. Let's keep 600. I think that's okay. And now let's do the same with the paragraph. So let's apply a color to it, and I will use the color code 486581. Perfect. And now, as you can see, we have too much space in here, so let me inspect the element and let's check why. And the reason is there's a big margin on the H1, so we can get rid of it by saying margin 0. But since this is too much, I think we can also apply our own margin. So let's say, let's try 60 pixels. Yeah, I think this looks better. All right, perfect. Now let's move on to the paragraph tag. Let's change the font size to 18 pixels. And then now let's change the line height to 30 pixels. All right, so there's one thing missing. Let me open up the design. And as you can see, there are two things missing. So we have some pattern in the background, and then we have this line right here. It's hard to see, but it is there. So let's apply this line very quickly. So it's right above the H1. So let's select the H1, and then let's say before, open up brackets. All right, and now we say content empty. We will position the element absolute. The width should be 50 pixel. The height should be 4 pixel. So currently you still can't see anything. So let me apply a background color. And let me use this color code right here. And there it is. All right, perfect. So as you can see, we simply have created an element. We set the width, the height, the content is set to nothing, and then we apply the background color to it. And now we can see there's this line right here. All right, so we are done with the hero section. So let's check our design quickly. As you can see, that's it. Now the next thing that we do is to work on the articles. So let's create another section for the articles. All right, so for the articles, let's create a section. Let's call this articles. Then we create a wrapper again. And now let me show you again. So we have a 2-column grid. For mobile, we only will use 1-column grid. So let's simply apply a 1-column grid now. Okay, so let's move on and let's call this thing article. Let me try that again. Okay, perfect. Then we will have an image. So we will have a background image, as you can see. Then we will have this thing right here, which is, let's call it article details. So we will have the category, the title, and the read more button. So let's create this article details, and then let's create a span tag with the class of category. Then we will create an H1. Let's call this article for now, and then we will create a button which says read more. And I think that's it for now. Okay, so now we need 4 of these. So let's copy and paste the article thing, the article tag. Perfect. Now we have 4 of these. So actually, let's change the H1 to the H2. And now let's call this article 1. Now we call this article 2. And now let's call this 3 and 4. All right. Okay, so now we are going to use some images to style this article. So let me add the first image right here into our folder, and then let's style the first article. So let's select it, and then we say background image URL, open it up, brackets, and then let's select image 1. All right, so since we have done this for the article tag, and all of these are article tags, we have it on every our article, but that's not a problem for now. Let's simply move on. All right, now for the article, the next thing that we need to do is to change the height. So we have two options here. Let me show you. So we have this thing right here, which is approximately 500 pixels high, and we have this thing right here, and we have only content in here and not in here. So we have two options. Option number one is we set the height for this article to 500 pixel approximately, and option number two is we set a padding to this article detail, and then it will fill up the space right here. So I think I will go with option one, and I will simply set the height to the article. So let's say height, let's say 500 pixels, and as you can see, yeah, much better. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to take this article details section, and instead of the top we have to apply it to the bottom. So how do we do this? It's pretty simple. First, let's position the article element relative. So everything that we are going to set position absolute in this article is going to be relative to the article itself. So let me show you. So we have this article details section in our article, right? So let's take this section and let's set it to position absolute, like this. Maybe let's apply some background color so you can see it better. Let's say red for now. And as you can see, this is our article details section. It's very small right now, but it will change later on. All right, and now let me set this to top 0. So if you position an element absolute, you can change the position of this element. So you can say top, left, right, 0, or 10, or 100. So you can position the element wherever you like. So currently, when I say 0, it's to the top of the article. But when I delete the position relative, it will be at the top of the whole body. And this is what I mean by using the relative position tag to the article. Let's say position relative, and now again this thing is absolute relative to the article and not to the body. And now we can say bottom 0, and now it is at the bottom exactly like we wanted it to be. So we can say the width 100% now. So as you can see, we need to change some things, but yeah, it's already looking much better. All right, so let me change the background color first. Let me get rid of this red thing since it's pretty ugly. Now let me inspect this element, and now you can see our background color is black, but we need it to be more transparent. So let's set it to 50% opacity like this. Let's copy this color code, add it here. All right, next thing that we need to do is to apply some padding. So let's say 12 pixels to the top, to the bottom, to the left, and to the right. And then we set the color to white, since it is going to be white pretty much everywhere. I've made a mistake, I think. I forgot a semicolon. All right, perfect. So the next thing that we need to do is to check why our span with the class of category isn't showing up right now. Okay, I know, because we haven't added anything. So let's say traveling, and now it shows up, and we can also style it. All right, so let's style this thing, category, and let's say text transform, uppercase. Maybe let's change the font size to 40 pixel. Let's increase the letter spacing to 0.03 em. And now I think it looks good enough. So the next thing that we need to do is to style the H2, because I'm currently not so happy about the H2 styling. So let's select it, and let's first thing change the font weight, since it's way too thick at the moment. So let's change it to 500. Okay, looking much better now. Let's take another look at our design. Maybe we can set the font weight to 400, like this. Yeah, but now, as you can see, this is our design and this is our code. There's too much space between traveling and articles, so let's select this and let's check why. And as you can see, there is too much margin on the H2. So let me show you when I delete the margin. It's looking much better. And then we can apply padding bottom of 12 pixel, and then let's increase it. So we are happy with it. I think 24 pixel is perfect. Alright, so now let's apply this to our H2. And now let's change the button. So let's take a look. As you can see, the button looks way different than it currently does. Actually, we don't really have a button. We just have some simple text. And we have a button right here. So we have to get rid of that styling. Let's say article. Then let's say button. And then first things first, we say the background color. Or actually, let's set the background to none. Then let's set the border to none. Then let's set the color to white. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now let's set the font weight to 500. Actually, let's say 600. Okay, looks way better now. And now let's change the letter spacing to 0.03 rem. And actually, this looks exactly like our design. Perfect. Okay, so there's one thing missing, this white border right here. So selecting the span tag, category tag, and then we will apply the same CSS styles that we did before with the H1. But instead we will change the color to white, and we will say top 0. So one thing we still need to take care of is this article details div. As you can see, it's much wider than the article itself. So let's change the width by 94%. So let's apply some margin to the article. So there's more white space between every article. Let's say 12 pixels, maybe let's say 16. Yeah, so 16 to the top, to the bottom, to the left and to the right. And if we only need it at the top and at the bottom, we can say 16 pixels and 0, and then it looks much better. All right, perfect. Okay, so now currently we have our 4 articles, and of course we need to change the image, because we shouldn't have the same image for each of our articles. Let's say article 2, 3, let's copy this again, let's say 4. Then we will delete everything except the background image. Okay, and now we will apply the classes to our articles. So let's say class of 2, class of 3, and class of 4. All right, and now we can download the other images. So let me do that quickly. All right, so let me add these images right here, and then we can simply change another one, and this one, and then we save it, and we have our images. Currently the images are repeating, and we don't want that. So let's say background repeat, no repeats. All right, but now we have another problem. They are not taking the full height of the div. So let's say background size, and let's say cover, so they will cover all the white space. Perfect. All right, that's it for the articles.